Two riders, same trail, $3,600 each. One buys a hardtail, one buys full suspension, and each thinks the other wasted it. Here is the brutal truth nobody admits. At that price, one of them is wrong, and it is not the one you expect. Because here is the thing. Neither camp says out loud in the car park. Every dollar in that rear shock came out of somewhere else on the bike. It came out of the fork, out of the wheels, out of the brakes, out of the drivetrain. That is not marketing. That is arithmetic. And I am going to put the exact receipt in front of you in a few minutes. From one brand, one model year, two bikes sharing the same group set. Start with how we got here, because the history is where most videos on this subject quietly lie to you. Look at a cross-country World Cup start line from the middle 2000s. Almost every bike on it was a hardtail, light, simple, and the courses of that era rewarded exactly that. Full suspension existed, but it carried a weight penalty and a pedaling penalty, and the fast people were not interested. In 2010, at Dalby Forest in England, a young Swiss rider called Nino Schurter won his first World Cup. He did it on a 26-inch Scott scale hardtail, 100 millimeters up front, rigid carbon seat post, front derailleur. He went on to take 36 World Cup wins and 10 world titles, and he hung up his number at Lenzerheide in September of 2025. Almost every one of those wins after the first came on full suspension. Now, the lazy conclusion is that full suspension took over because it is simply faster. That is not what happened. And if you say it in front of anybody who has raced, you get corrected inside a sentence. What changed first was the courses. Organizers started building shorter laps with more rock, more roots, more drops, more man-made features, because that is what makes good television. The bike followed the course. The course did not follow the bike. And look where the sport landed. World Cup travel has settled around 120 millimeters front and rear. But look at what Specialized built when it spent 4 years chasing the ultimate cross-country race bike. The EPIC World Cup runs a proprietary shock, giving just 75 millimeters out back, paired to a custom RockShox side SL fork with 110 up front. 75 millimeters. A company with an enormous development budget at the very top of the sport. Deciding the right answer is most of a hardtail with a little bit of give. That should tell you something before we go near your bike. So what does the rear end actually do for you? Not what the brochure says, what it does. On smooth ground, on the climb, on fire road, on flowing single track, the hardtail is better. And it is not close. Every watt you put in goes into the ground instead of into a spring, and the bike accelerates the instant you stand up. There is a second thing that never makes it into an advert, which is that a hardtail teaches you to ride. It punishes a bad line immediately and without discussion. On rough ground, the story inverts, but not the way you have been told. The full suspension bike is not magically quicker downhill because it finds more grip, although it does. The real gain is that it stops beating you up, and that is the honest word for what you are buying. You are not buying speed. You are buying fatigue resistance. Anybody who has worked a shop knows the pattern. A rider comes in after a 4-hour day on a hardtail, and he was not slow at the end because his legs were gone. He was slow because his hands, his forearms, and his lower back had been absorbing hits for 4 hours. I have come off descents on a hardtail with my arms completely done at the bottom, and ridden the same descent on full suspension feeling like I could turn around and do it again. That difference is real. It is worth money, and it only exists if the trail is rough enough to generate it, which is the whole problem, isn't it? Most riders buy for the trail they imagine, not the trail outside the door. And one thing has quietly moved the maths in the hardtail's favor that almost nobody mentions. Look at the geometry on that epic hardtail. 68.5-degree head angle, 430mm chain stays, a wheelbase over 1100 millimeters, clearance for a 2.35 tire. 15 years ago, a hardtail with those numbers would have been sold to you as a trail bike. The twitchy, wrist-breaking hardtail the full suspension crowd argues against stopped being sold a decade ago. Everything up to here is the stuff both camps already half know. What comes next is the part that decides which bike you actually buy, and it is not a feeling. It is a receipt. Quick thing first, hit subscribe if this is your kind of video. It genuinely helps, and somehow the people who do always seem to end up with the right bike underneath them. Right, the receipt. Same brand, same model year, same drivetrain family. 2 bikes. The Pinkbike Hardtail Comp sells for $3,599. Carbon frame, RockShox SID SL fork at 110mm, a full SRAM S1000E Gull transmission with the wireless access pods, 2 piston brakes, rigid alloy seat post. 10.37 kilos, 22 pounds and 14 ounces, and that figure is for a size large. The Pinkbike 8 Comp sells for $4,699. Carbon frame, 120mm front and rear, RockShox SID Select fork, SID Lux Select Plus shock, the same SRAM ES1000E Gold transmission, 4 piston brakes, and a dropper post. 11.95 kilos, 26 pounds and 5 ounces, and that figure is for a size medium. Read those 2 lines again. $1,100 more, 3.5 pounds heavier. And that weight gap is understated because the lighter number is the bigger frame. Now, here is where I am going to be fair, because you deserve better than a slogan. The full suspension buyer is not being robbed. He gets 4 piston brakes instead of 2, which matters on a long descent, and he gets a dropper post, which the hardtail does not have and honestly should. Those cost real money. But look at what he did not get for his $1,100. Not a better fork, not better wheels. They are the same alloy rims. Not a better drivetrain. It is the identical transmission. Every dollar in that rear shock came out of somewhere else on the bike, and for once you can see exactly where, line by line, on the manufacturer's own spec sheet. One thing on price that cuts against my own argument, so I will say it anyway. Those are the manufacturer's numbers. Dealers are already listing that Pinkbike 8 Comp nearer $4,000 because full suspension gets discounted harder. Treat list price as a starting point. The gap you actually pay may be closer to $400 than $1,100. That does not change the spec sheet. It changes how big a deal it is. And that is at $4,500, where the engineering is good enough to absorb the compromise. Drop the budget, and it stops being a trade and starts being a mugging. Under $2,000, an entry-level rear shock adds 2 to 4 pounds and hands you almost none of the performance that makes suspension worth having. The same money on a hardtail buys a fork that works, brakes that stop, and a drivetrain that is not worn out in a season. Under $2,000, this argument is finished. It is a hardtail, and anybody telling you otherwise is selling something. Now the stopwatch, because somebody is already typing that this is all opinion. The most useful controlled test I could find is not new, and I am telling you that up front rather than letting you catch me with it. Run by Bike Radar in 2015. One rider, 2 Scott bikes, the scale hardtail against the Spark full suspension, matched wheels, brakes, contact points, and group set. The same power meter swapped between the bikes and recalibrated each time at the Forest of Dean. One rider is not science, and they said so themselves, but watch what it exposes. On the Rudy lap, the hardtail was 6.19 seconds faster, a bit over 1%, on 8 watts less power. Faster for less effort. In racing, that combination is the entire ballgame. On the rough lap, the full suspension came out ahead overall, by 6.93 seconds, but it took 8 watts more to get there. Split that rough lap in half, and it gets honest. On the climb, the two bikes finished 0.4 of a second apart, which is nothing, except the full suspension needed 13 extra watts just to stay level. On the descent, the full suspension was 11.5 seconds quicker, nearly 9%, on 13 watts less power. That is the whole argument in one table. The rear shock is not a speed part. It is a descending part, and everywhere else you pay for it in watts. One detail that should change how you read it. The tester weighed 63 kilograms, and he suspected heavier riders would get more out of the full suspension. If you are 90 kilograms, do not take his conclusion as yours. Here is the cost nobody puts on the price tag. Suspension is not a part you buy. It is a subscription. Fox says a rear shock wants a full overhaul every 125 hours of riding, or once a year, whichever comes first. RockShox is stricter in places. 50 ride hours for air can service on the rear shock, 200 hours for air can, and damper on the deluxe and super deluxe units. And that is not the fork. That is on top of the fork, which both bikes have. Then the pivots. Every full suspension frame has bearings in it, and they wear out, not because you use the travel, but because water and grit get in. Realistically, a once-a-year job. $50 to $100 in bearings, plus $80 to $100 in labor if it comes apart nicely. If it does not, if the bearings are seized into the frame and it turns into a full linkage strip, you are looking at $200 to $300 in labor before parts. The Hardtail's equivalent bill is the fork. That is the whole list. There is nothing else back there to service, because there is nothing else back there. It is exactly why a lot of people who work on bikes for a living ride a hardtail through the winter. Not out of purity, out of not wanting to strip a linkage in February. And I want to be straight about the counter-argument, because it is fair. If you buy direct from the brand to save that money, there is no shop to walk into when the shock starts sounding wrong. You are the mechanic now. That saving is only a saving if you can work a shock pump and pull a lower leg. If you cannot, the shop you paid extra for is worth every penny. So, the verdict, and I am not handing you a single winner, because there isn't one. Under $2,000, buy the Hardtail. Any terrain, any discipline, anywhere in the world. At that price, the rear suspension is a weight penalty wearing a costume. If you race cross-country, or you ride fire roads and long climbs and flowing single track, buy the Hardtail and stop apologizing for it. The World Cup did not abandon the Hardtail because it got slow. It abandoned it because the courses got built for television. Your local trail was not built for television. If your riding is genuinely steep, genuinely rocky, repeated big descents, or you are out for 4 and 5 hour days where the mistakes at hour 3 put you in the trees, buy the full suspension. You are not buying speed. You are buying the ability to still be riding well at the end, and that is worth $1,100 if you actually ride like that. If you are a heavier or more powerful rider, weight the answer towards full suspension. More force through the bike means more to control, and the rear end earns its keep sooner for you than it ever will for a 60-kilogram racer. And here is the beat that outranks everything I have just said. Fit beats brand, and fit beats travel. A properly fitted hardtail in the right size will be faster, more comfortable, and more fun than a badly fitted full suspension bike that costs twice as much. Every ride, forever. If you are choosing between putting $1,100 into a rear shock and putting $200 of it into a proper bike fit, take the fit and do not think twice. The one I would spend my own money on tomorrow, for the riding I actually do. Long days with far more climbing than descending. is the Hardtail, with the saved money going into a dropper post and a decent set of wheels. And I will happily be told I am wrong. Because here is where that opening line turns around on me. Every dollar in that rear shock came out of somewhere else on the bike. That is true. It is always true. And it is the most useful sentence you can carry into a bike shop. But it is only an accusation if the trail does not need it. Put that same bike on the right descent in the 4th hour, on the rocks it was built for, and that dollar bought the only thing on the entire machine that actually made you faster. Same sentence, completely different verdict. The bike was never the question. The trail and the budget were, and both camps have spent 15 years arguing about the wrong variable. And honestly, most of us never really chose at all. The bike you defend is usually just the bike you learned on. So, tell me below, hardtail or full suspension, and be honest about the last time your rear shock genuinely earned its keep. Tell me what you ride, where you ride it, and which flag is on your bars, because I read every one of these. And if I have a service interval or a spec wrong, the comments will let me know inside 10 minutes, which is half the fun of doing this. One last thing, this exact argument, the marketing, the price gap, the thing you are sold against the thing you actually need, plays out identically one component over on the shifting. Mechanical against electronic, same brutal truth applied to the drivetrain. It is the perfect companion to this one, and it is appearing on your screen right now. Click it and I will see you in there.